Hello and welcome to Jurassic Reviews. On this episode, we'll be taking a look at another Deforeal figure by X+. This time, the Shin Godzilla Frozen version, from the 2016 film Shin Godzilla. Before we begin, here's a quick look at the box. Just about the standard Deforeal box, just a little taller. This figure stands about 8 inches tall. This is due to its tail going straight up in the air. It also is about 7.5 inches long from head to tail. This is my first X+ Shin Godzilla in my collection, surprisingly. I have a lot of Bandai Shin Godzillas, but no other X+ version. I really wish I had the gigantic version. If that ever gets a re-release, I'll be buying it as soon as it goes on sale. There's actually been quite a few Deforeal Shin Godzillas before this one. I can't remember them all, but I know there was a closed mouth one, light up, and some translucent ones. I had a chance to get the light up version, but for whatever reason I passed on it. This one though caught my eye, and I wanted it almost immediately. The reason for this is the moment or pose this figure captures. It was such a haunting and creepy moment in the film, and this figure really just nails it. Just a little warning, I'm probably going to be saying creepy a lot to describe this guy. So the sculpt, like most X+ releases, is amazing. And also like other X+ Deforeals, there's a ton of detail packed into such a small figure. I know this line is sort of loved by some and not so much by others. It's certainly a preference thing, but I think this line is great. The whole sculpt has cool little details, from his many teeth to his tiny little arms. The messed up and deformed skin seen in the film is shown here perfectly. Shin Godzilla just looks like a creature in agony. The teeth are actually one of my favorite things about the design. They are just so creepy and disturbing. I love how there's so many and they are just not aligned with one another. And I like how some are just growing out of his skin outside of his mouth. Speaking of the mouth, the inside of it also looks great. Again, it's amazing how detailed these things are despite being so small. The rest of the head sculpt looks fantastic, as does the dorsal plates and body. The mangled looking skin on his chest and legs looks straight out of the film. Now let's move on to my favorite part of the sculpt, and probably its main selling point really, the tail. The detail on the lower portions of the tail look awesome, but it's the end of the tail that really sets this figure apart. And it's most likely the best available figure out there right now to really show this scene from the movie so well on vinyl. The end of the tail is 4 little gross Godzilla humanoid things coming out of it, each with big heads. They are their own little Deforeal figure within a Deforeal figure, and the little details on them is just amazing. You can see their dorsal plates, and one of them even has his little arm reaching out. It's so freaky but also so cool at the same time. And the very end of the tail has the mouth, with the creepy looking teeth on it, further adding to its grotesque appearance. There is one little thing I would like to add if you plan on picking up this figure. Because of the tail, he's not the best for balancing. I mean, it stands just fine, but any little touch might be enough to knock it over. Something you really don't want to happen on a figure that has a lot of small and delicate parts. Just something to keep in mind. Moving on to the paint, there's not a ton to talk about here, which is totally expected. The whole figure is mostly dark gray with lighter gray highlights. Even the eyes are this color. At first I thought his eyes were just sort of blank like the GMK Godzilla, but you can still make out the pupils there. They are just a bit hard to see. There is one variation of color though, just a little bit of brown and red that is visible at the end of the tail. The figure is called the Frozen version for a reason, as it captures a moment from the film and the colors for this figure are pretty spot on. Before I give my rating for this figure, here's a comparison with other figures. Here it is with the Godzilla 1971. is with the Godzilla Earth. Here it is with the Godzilla 2001. Here it is with the Godzilla 1984. And finally, here it is with a bunch of my other Shin Godzilla figures. For a rating out of 10, I give this one a 9.5. The sculpt is awesome as it's both gross and detailed. The tail alone is worth it if you're thinking about getting this one. The paint job does the job too. If you're looking for a Shin Godzilla that captures this moment from the film, I think this is the best. Again though, it really comes down to if the Deforeal figures are your thing. They certainly are for me. I recommend this one. Hunt it down before it becomes too crazy in price like the other Deforeal Shin Godzilla figures. And that does it for the X Plus Deforeal Shin Godzilla Frozen version. Let me know what you guys think of the Deforeal figures, whether you like them or not. If you enjoyed this review, feel free to subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching and see you next time.